USA Today's Nancy Armour, writer of quite possibly, no, it is one of, I won't say the, I can't even recall all the bad ones, so it's not fair, but I will say one of the worst opinion pieces I have ever seen in media. And USA Today, she got a ton of backlash, and USA Today came out and defended it with the rationalization of, oh, well, it's an opinion piece. Nancy Moore came out with a fake apology that we're going to dive into as well. But I also want to talk about some of the backlash because I think it is a big deal and it spells trouble for the WNBA. So let's dig into this. USA Today updates Nancy Armour's Caitlin Clark column after backlash. Critics erupted after USA Today's Armour invoked the unaliving of Emmett Till in her piece about WNBA flopping on court. Now, actually, it was a piece about I just lost my earpiece. Thankfully, we're not doing any audio about WNBA flopping on court. No, it was actually about Caitlin Clark flopping on court and how that put the other players in the WNBA's lives in danger. And then she decided to invoke Emmett Till to equate them as if they are the same thing. Absolutely insane. Lark Marie Anton, I that name says it all to me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Chief Communications and Brand Officer for USA Today Company wrote an email back to Front Office Sports stating Nancy is a sports columnist and her column is clearly labeled opinion. Please note that the column has been updated for clarity. We'll get to that in a minute. And Nancy has addressed the matter. We will not be commenting further. No, of course they won't be commenting further because they can't defend it. By the way, that rationale of, oh, it's opinion. Well, USA Today, you don't have to publish it just because it's an opinion. Now, if you were to actually stand on it, you would publish a piece by, I don't know, any of y'all watching or me or any other Caitlin Clark defender, how about publishing a piece that, I don't know, excoriates BLM or talks about how the way the black queer players speak about Caitlin Clark puts her life in danger and makes her, I don't know how many, pick a white woman who's been unalived recently by someone, and I would be curious as to USA Today would actually publish that piece. Now, Armour went on Threads because, of course, all the unhinged nut job leftists. Keep in mind when I say that, because I don't know if I've ever explained this before. I'm not talking about your typical normal Democrats. All right, there's a big difference between when I say a leftist and a Democrat. Not even in the same universe. The nut job leftists all go to Threads because it's an echo chamber. As I said before, Amor's posts on X are protected because she'll get pushback on X. She defended her decision to include the 14-year-old Tills um, unaliving in 1955 in Mississippi. She wrote, again, it was not an apology, right? She wrote she regretted not providing appropriate context. In my recent column, I made, get this, go back to my video on this if you haven't yet or you need a refresher. I made an inartful comparison with the unaliving of Emmett Till. I intended to connect the issues the WNBA is currently facing with its All-Star game being hosted in Till's hometown of Chicago. I obviously did not provide enough context for that. Not an apology and complete BS, and nobody's buying this. You did exactly what you wanted to do, which was link Caitlin Clark's behavior on the court and then her fans' reaction and behavior to that with such a repulsive, vile act as the unaliving of Emmett Till. That is what you did on purpose, because otherwise it makes no sense what you were saying about connecting the issues the WNBA is currently facing simply because it was held in Chicago, which is Emmett Till's hometown. That makes no sense for any reason whatsoever to then even bring up Emmett Till's name. That's absurd because then she doubles down. However, the point stands. There is a history in this country of perceived threats to white women being weaponized. and the danger that poses to black players in the league. Players have been abused online and have reported receiving unaliving threats that has to be taken more seriously. Again, I get them. I got them in the past week. I bet Sophie Cunningham, well, Sophie Cunningham individually, Caitlin Clark individually probably get more legitimate ones than the entire league combined. But this whole thing of always falling back on threats from a bunch of random weirdos on social media, come on, Nancy. No one buys it anymore. No one buys it anymore, which we'll get into as well. I sincerely regret that my lack of appropriate context is overshadowing that important conversation and the actions that need to be taken by the WNBA to address it directly for the benefit of all players. For the benefit of all players. That's kind of like the whole, hey, man, I really think Caitlin Clark's awesome, but I'm really a fan of Caitlin Clark's, but absolute nonsense. Of course, Armour and USA Today have been taking a pounding since the column, with critics bashing it as over the top rage bait. Now, get this, this is important. The Athletic, okay? Sam Vecini from The Athletic. The Athletic is no friend to Caitlin Clark. The Athletic is no down the middle sports media company. But Sam publicly wondered how the piece ever saw the day of the light of day. There is a section paragraph in this story that is the most insane choices to include I've ever read in any sports story from a serious publication. Like the kind of crazy where I genuinely have no idea how an editor let it get through. Well, there you go, 100%. But wait, we're going to talk about a little bit more because Yahoo Sports covered the backlash. And this is why I say this is a turning point. If the WNBA had done this, a few years ago, there would not have been backlash. I mean, there might have been a few people here and there that dared to say anything, although they probably would have gotten censored on X. But now a lot more backlash, as you will see, which is fantastic. It gives me hope for the future of the WNBA because they may be forced to change because they can't BS their way through this anymore. Legitimately unhinged, not real journalism. WNBA World blasts USA Today's disgraceful Caitlin Clark hit piece. Uh, where let me give Armar went further, tying Clark's on-court frustration to the messages Chelsea Gray received after the Aces game, suggesting Clark bears some responsibility for how a fringe element of her fan base behaves. By the way, Clark has no control and zero responsibility for how other adults act. None at all. Also, as once again being done here, that message to Chelsea Gray did not come from an Indiana Fever fan, but because she purposely released it after they got whipped by the Indiana Fever, all of media is lazily, purposely connecting it to the Indiana Fever. It was a bettor who lost money, and it was a Paige Beckers fan. And let's go here. After the column went viral for all the wrong reasons, the WNBA community on X did not hold back, blasting it as dishonest and unbecoming of legitimate sports journalism. This is why no one is supporting you guys, and soon you'll no longer be in publication. This is disgraceful and disgusting, not real journalism. I hope whoever did this and signed off on misinformation and mischaracterization and flat out lies. And it keeps going. There is more. This is the one by Sam I just read to you, right? So again, from The Athletic, no fan of Caitlin Clark, right? It's no right wing, as people like to assume that anyone defending Clark is right wing, which is completely untrue. Hey, look, mine made it, although they didn't embed it. I went over the top to make a point, but wait till you get to the good stuff. This is one of the most vile, repulsive, disgusting pieces of expletive articles I've ever read. I'd have to go to my comment. I don't remember the expletive I used. It incites possible. I'm connecting to what Nancy Moore said about Caitlin Clark flopping and arguing with refs, leading to endangering players. So I'm throwing that back, which is why I said this. A little over the top, but I'm making a point. And it cites possible violence against Caitlin Clark and her fans. Everyone involved in getting this out there should be fired and banned from all media. Good stuff, you bleep for brains, CDS Sports Podcast ranted. Now, they said I ranted, But let's check this out because the USA Today post of the article itself, the post has been seen 5.8 million times, so just about 6 million times, and got a whopping 2,400 likes. My comment has been seen a measly 205,000 times, but has 9,200 likes. Oh, interesting. Where they took out my foul language and put expletive, it's the same word they left in later on. Huh, that's weird. But yeah, this is one of the most ridiculous jumble mess of words I've ever read. This is not journalism, it's activism, and it's totally ignorant mid-mo sports. And it just keeps going on. Also, incredible ratio you have going, you tone deaf radicals. People cannot hate the media enough. And that is because, yeah, 2.4K likes, 2.9K comments, all similar to this. So USA Today gets torched. Nancy Armour gets torched. She protects her posts on X, and then they basically double down by saying, "Oh no, you just don't understand the message we're trying to convey." Wow. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate it. I will talk to you later.